Hello again. So I thought I would come back with another update on some development fun that I've been working on to share with you all. I'm sure you really love these videos about the various things that I toy around with doing in my spare time. So I'll dive right in. During the holidays, I took it upon myself to revisit an old idea and made some progress working with a phaser RPG starter that runs via Node and I believe it's a JS socket, is it? Which I've been looking at for a while. I stumbled across the GitHub repository here, as you can see on the left, created by Blixerd. It has the nice blurb that says, "This project is a fully functional 2D RPG map generator made using Phaser 3. It demonstrates procedural world generation with dynamic chunk loading, creating an infinite explorable world with varied terrain, water bodies, and objects like trees. The project serves as a solid foundation for developing 2D RPG games." So, this is the basics of an engine. We have, as it notes, Phaser 3 for the game logic, physics, and rendering, Next.js and React for the user interface and server-side rendering, and TypeScript for safety and modern development practices, and Simplex Noise for natural-looking procedural terrain generation. And here you can see a screenshot of what the engine looks like. It has a little debug window in the corner, puts your little dude in the middle of the screen, and you can walk around the map. Now, I could delve further into the description there, but I'll leave it for a moment. One thing that immediately struck me with this when I first downloaded it and set it up locally is it's single player, but it felt like it was crying out to be made into a multiplayer game. So this is what I have done. Yesterday I took this code and updated it to add a multiplayer system to it. It's very early days. Essentially, the basics of the multiplayer that I've adapted it to allows anyone to connect via a web browser, because this system using Phaser runs in your browser, and everyone who connects will then be rendered on everyone else's screen. So, what it does is it adds any player who connects as a ghosted green player and shows their movements around the map to all the other players. Currently, this is limited to desktop computers, not mobile devices, as it relies on the cursors or the WASD keys to move around. But it was a lot of fun adapting that, and I sort of have a whole roadmap of development ideas now lined up in my head. But anyway, rather than talking about text on my screen, perhaps I can show you the initial version from yesterday. So here we have two browser windows that I loaded earlier, showing two players. And if I move one player, you can see the player on the other screen moves around. So we can go over to the mountains perhaps and stand on them, and then this player can come and find us. Now, after I initially got the multiplayer element working, I decided also to add shift sprint so you can peg it around the map a little bit quicker. But I mean, that's pretty cool, pretty fun, but there's no interaction between the users. You can just run around the map at the moment. As I said, this all runs on Node in the back end. If I was to jump back here into my editor and bring up the terminal window, you can see the debug from the Node server there. It records information about players. So, having got this working, I felt the next thing we needed to do was to add some level of hit point and combat system. So if we just forget about these ones for a second and shuffle over one I prepared earlier. Hopefully you should now see version 2 there, which features health bars at the top. I don't know if you can see that very clearly on the screen there. We got little health bars, which is cool. We now have a hit point system as well. Let me just shuffle this down again a minute so that we can see those health bars when it's split screen. But also what we have added is a combat system. So now you can walk up to one of these green ghosted players and give them a good whack. And if you hit them enough times, they die and go back to the respawn point. So, having lots of fun messing around with Phaser today. As I said, I'm hoping to implement a lot more features than this. But for all intents and purposes, put this on a server facing the general public over the internet, and we could try and break it by seeing how many people we can add to smack each other around a bit. I've no idea what the maximum numbers of players would be until it lags out. That would be something to find out really, and then probably cap and limit. I would guess it's probably limited by the amount of resources on the server and the number of physical connections possible. But yeah, kind of cool and fun. The roadmap that I came up for this includes all manner of features that I would like to implement. Whether I will actually manage to do it is another story. There's so many factors involved with doing something like this, time and also the complexity of adding them. But I was going to add in things like gold coins for characters. I hope to add a harvesting system in a similar fashion, perhaps, where you could walk up to a tree and click it to collect wood, or walk up to a rock to collect stone, and then that could be further added to a crafting system, perhaps to build things. It would be good to add mobs, so you can go and team up together and go and beat up some monsters, maybe even dungeons or little places to go and complete tasks. There's lots of possibilities with something like this. For the mobile devices, I'm thinking that what I will do is give it touch controls where you tap the screen where you want to go. So, if you tap on the left hand side, it will move left. If you tap up the top, it will go right, and so on. So then if you want to attack a player, you would just tap on the player repeatedly until they're dead. I wanted to include an inventory system with items, so you could equip a sword perhaps, or a bow maybe, shoot at range. Again, keeping the simple click to interact idea. Like I say, a whole range of ideas really of what we could do with it. So there you go, that's my quick dev update on my Phaser game that I've been working on. I hope you've enjoyed it.